Hi guys, it's Brindley, Tucker, and the infamous Monica Reynolds. How are you this Monday, Monica?
Oh, I'm infamous today. All right. It's a happy Monday. Well, The Bachelor's on in a few hours.
Yeah, it's the season premiere of The Bachelor. If you're into that kind of thing, I don't really watch it, but
I haven't started watching this. This one girl's a little nutty for me, but I'm going to look at it tonight.
The girl's nutty.
She's nutty.
She's
but
nutty.
It brings us to our subject. So I was just thinking right now is that in any organization, when the rules change,
Yep.
Any organization, when the rules change, what should be the protocol for that?
Communication in order to create buy-in.
Buy-in is the key thing.
Yeah.
Buy-in.
Yeah.
And so as a leader or a director of operations or an EA, you can't change the rules without the whole team or company together about that. Mm-hmm. So you just can't all of a sudden go, oh no, we don't do it like that anymore.
Yeah.
The agent just can't come back from a seminar and go, oh no, we've changed all that now. You know, you have to say things like appropriate. Hey, we're a team. Let's think about this. Would this be a good idea? What are your thoughts on it? What happens, Brindley, if you're on a team and I'm on a team and there's a leader that comes in and says, oh, I didn't tell you. We don't do it like that now.
Yeah. Well, I get first of all, I start to lose faith in my leadership, right? And we start to look at leadership as something that's unstable. And they don't trust us as their team members, right, to make decisions and to own our roles. And especially when we talk about administrative roles, because to a lot of them, stability is very important, and they don't do well with change. Now, of course, we always have to be willing to pivot and adapt, yet for them, they have to understand the why before you just make a change.
Right, so there's gotta be a valid reason, and usually I look at what's the benefit for the team? What's the benefit for the client?
Yeah.
What's the benefit overall? Yeah. And so the client, you should be looking at, is this a benefit for the client? And then how does this benefit the team? If it doesn't benefit the team and it causes maybe a few more steps of work or something, and it's like, wow, this is a little bit more. However, it benefits the client. The bottom line, it's all about the client.
All about the client.
And if you're changing the rules and it's not about the client, then you better be careful about repeat and referral business. You better be careful about retention. And you ought to be careful about losing people, because on a team, when the rules change all the time, it's like, whoa, okay, that's a new rule. Whoa, we're doing it that way. Okay, we're back to that way. I mean, you and I both know there's leaders out there like that.
And it will create instability in the organization, and people will leave the organization to go somewhere that's stable. Also, remember, season and when you're the busiest is not the time to be making changes, right? We don't change systems in the middle of our peak season. We do it during our winter months, during our months that might be a little bit less of a workload. And then going back to what Gary tells us, hire talent that's better than us in the role. And if that's true, if we're hiring talent that's better than us, then we should be asking for their input around changes, because they're going to know more than we are, because they're on the front lines every day. So for my team, I'm not going to go to my career consultants or my recruiters and start making changes in recruiting when I'm not in that world every day. I'm going to take their input and then we're going to make a decision together.
If your team doesn't buy in by saying, here's my suggestion, or wow, that's a great idea. So you always want to approach it. If you're a director of operations, you're an EA, you've got another one on the team, you've got a team, whoever you got on your team, and you want to change something, you go, hey, I've got a thought and I wanted your input and see what you thought. What if we did things like this, or did this on the checklist, or did this for the customer? I was just thinking, what are your thoughts on it? And that person that you're talking to goes, oh, I like that idea, and what if we did this on top of that? Oh, that's even better, because then you're masterminding the ideas.
Yeah, there's a great book.
Yeah, if you go to someone and say, okay, we've changed all that, or worse, they do something, you go, hey, you did that wrong. We do it this way now. Yes. Well, when were you going to tell me?
Yeah. There's a great book called The 6 Thinking Hats. Have you read The 6 Thinking Hats, Monica? It's a great book. And it's about this thick, so you can read it in a day. And it talks about the various hats that individuals in a team wear. So you have the black hat, right? That's going to be the one that's going to play devil's advocate and poke holes in things. You have the white hat that's going to be the excitement and is going to draw interest around it. And it's identifying who in your organization is what hat. So then when we need to make decisions around change, you know who to go to based on the buy-in that you need. And you leverage your team to help create the buy-in. You use your black hat to tear it apart, to help look at it from every angle. So there are individuals on your team that will help you roll out change. Now, Monica, this also takes us to the other thing we were talking about, which is expectations and resetting expectations or failing to set them at all as a leader, and then expecting someone to buy in quickly, right?
Or you have imaginary conversations as a leader
with yourself.
And you go, oh, I thought I told you that. Didn't I tell you that? Oh,
what happens with us sometimes, Monica?
It's imaginary conversation.
With our imaginary friends.
Yes, exactly. And you never got it out in public, but you had it in your head and you assumed everybody read your mind.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen too often.
No, we're not mind readers. We'd be a lot more.
I have to tell you something funny. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness, what happened now?
There is a client. I won't say anything other than this. And I was talking to a coach, and they are putting in their ad for who they want for an assistant, they want them to be psychic.
They did not put that in there. It has to be a joke, right?
No, it's no joke.
Did you say they have to come with a crystal ball?
Well, I'm saying, how do you judge if they're psychic or not? It's like, I'm not going to tell you the time to show up. Let's see if you guess right.
I don't understand. Do we need to ask them if they talk to dead people too?
Well, this is a team and they're a little bit different, but they're looking for someone who's psychic.
Well, if they find them, good for them.
Unbelievable. Well, I hadn't heard that one before. I think I hear everything, and then there's always that zinger.
There's always something else, like the surveyor that got stabbed in the front yard. That's the best one I've got.
Oh.
The seller stabbed him when he came to do this survey. She thought someone was trespassing.
Oh my gosh.
And she took a knife. Yeah, crazy. But we could write a book, right, Monica?
Exactly. So let's go back to expectations.
Yeah, you got an interesting email today.
Oh, we want to go there?
Oh, I don't know. We don't have to. I mean, I've seen it a million times. So
I won't use names, of course. Assistant said to me that she's on call 7 days a week, basically 24 hours a day. And her agent has asked her to take her laptop everywhere she goes. And I go, to church? Okay.
Bathroom?
To the gym?
To the bathroom?
Yeah. And she goes, because at any given moment, I may need you to write a contract. And I said, well, I hope this gal's doing like 300 contracts a year or something. And obviously not. And yet she will not, the team, the Rainmaker doesn't really disclose, hey, I have a buyer appointment on Saturday morning. I might be writing an offer. Hey, I'm going on a listing appointment. Can you put some, documents together for me? And I said to her, I said, please have that conversation and set expectations. I said, do you have a family? Just curious. And she said, yes, I have 2 kids under the age of 4. And I go, when do you get to be 100% mommy? And so that's just setting expectations. Now, there's nothing wrong if you want to be a 7-day-a-week admin DO, but then that's negotiated, that's set up in the expectations, and you've agreed to that. And I don't think anyone with 2 little kids that's working a 40-hour work week wants to be on call Saturday and Sunday. You've got to be a full-time mommy somewhere. Or daddy. Or daddy.
Absolutely. Or daddy. I think it goes back to what's important to you and what your values are, and being able to say, yes, how? Yes, I could be available to you, yet I'm going to need 1 weekend a month off. Right. And also for the leadership, your people need time off. Our bodies, our minds, our spirits are not meant to work 7 days a week around the clock. You'll end up with shingles, you'll end up sick, your nervous system will break down, and then you have no EA. Then they're out. They're in the hospital. Yep. So, and I'll say this, I don't have a single professional in my life, I don't know about you, Monica, that's available outside of business hours. My doctor's not, my attorney isn't, my accountant certainly isn't. And so I would be a little nervous if someone was available around the clock to me, because it would make me think, why do they have to work that hard? Do they not make enough during business hours that they have to be available all the time?
No, you know, I sold in the 90s 300 homes, and then I sold 200 homes in San Diego in the last few years, every year. And I can tell you, Stephanie has worked with me, and you know her, some of you guys know her.
Right. She's one of the most best EA in the world.
I've called her 2 times in 9 years after 5 o'clock. And those were to tell her a joke and to tell her something funny that happened on a client that we were dealing with. And that's how, because the workday is the workday. And, you know, if you set expectations where, you know, as a mega agent, you're calling in as an assistant, you've got a schedule where you're talking to them at 4:30, check in, get everything cleared up. And then I said, if it's after 5 o'clock, I tell the mega agents, call the voicemail so the assistant knows what's going on. You don't need to call them at home. Yeah. Just let them unplug.
I also think there's an element, though, Monica, of responsibility on the EA's part to not answer the phone. We teach people how to treat us. And if you answer the phone, then you're saying, I'm available. And you're setting the expectation.
Right. That's the first question out of my mouth all the time is, why do you answer the phone at night?
Why? I mean, I closed 2,000 real estate transactions in a year and never picked up my phone after 6 o'clock.
Why?
You have to.
You have business hours.
And then, you know, in our organization now, and in a lot of organizations out there, we have unlimited personal time off. You can take as much time off as you need as long as I don't get the job back.
Right, right.
The minute I get the job back, you lose all of your unlimited PTO and you go back to having 2 weeks vacation.
Well, it's just, you guys got to have that conversation and set up the rules. And if you work on the weekends, when's your break? If you have a break, and I wouldn't take a laptop into church, by the way.
No, or the bathroom.
Or the bath.
Awkward.
You got to use some common sense here. And I always say to the mega agent, most executive assistants are not on commission. They shouldn't be, because they're not independent contractors usually. And so with that said, they have certain hours, and that's it. Now in the state of California, they're brutal. Every single pay period, which was every week, we had to sign off on every employee and state through the state of California. There was no overtime. No one worked over 40 hours. I mean, it's that brutal in California.
You've got to be really careful. You've got to know your state laws. I mean, there's never a problem until there's a problem. So I think the moral of tonight is, you know, setting clear expectations if you expect people to meet them, right?
Right. Don't take your laptop to church.
Don't take that's a big one. Don't take your laptop to church. Don't expect a psychic to come work for you.
Right? That's the best one yet.
I think that is classic. So we have some programs coming up. And then I have a question I want to survey our viewers tonight, but you want to tell them we've got Priya coming up in July.
Comes up first week of July, and then we got the perfect operations team that Brindley and I do, which is a deep dive into listing manager, into TC, and into the director of operations. So sign up for one of those. Get back into education.
Yeah.
Never ending. And just because you went to the class once, I mean, we call it Teapot, the perfect operations team. That one, we change that all the time. We're constantly growing because Brindley has such huge exposure into all these mega teams.
So do you, Monica. You have the experience of years working with mega teams.
Right. And I've got good exposure too. So we're always constantly tweaking it. So, and you listen every time you come back to one of those programs, you listen at a different level. Education should never stop. You should always be plugged in. And, you know, obviously there is a mastery contract too. You could also be a MAPS client and do breakthrough or mastery. Those are the next thing too, or if you like to just go ahead and do that. So either one of those, contact us. We'll put you in touch. We'll put you on the list so you can get into the class.
And for those of you that are watching, comment in the box 2 things. Number 1, would you be interested in this? And then number 2, what topics would you want us to dive into? If Monica and I were to do a 1 to 2 hour webinar on a specific topic, would you be willing to pay $99 for that? So for instance, if we chose a topic like database and we did a one-time 2-hour seminar, you got the recording after that you could play for your team, you could play for new hires on a certain subject, Would you pay $99 for that? And what topics would you like to see? If you could put those in the comment box. We just want to get some surveys. We talked last week about what you guys want, and we went back and looked at it, and we're thinking this might be a affordable option to deep dive into some other topics that Monica and I see. So we love you guys. Any parting words, Monica?
Yeah, the bottom line is communicate, be reasonable, use common sense, have a communication with your agent. If you need time off, you can have time off. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And leaders, remember you're dealing with humans and people, not objects. And Leadership and Self-Deception is a great book around that. And read the Thinking Hats. Read the 6 Thinking Hats.
And you know, Brindley, that people who have at least 2 full days off where they unplug, that they'll stay on the job longer, they'll live longer on that job, they'll be better on that job, and they're refreshed when they come back on Monday.
And they're also, they're more productive, more efficient. All right, guys, have a great week. We'll see you next Monday.
Wish you the best. Bye.